Wilson Miles from Black Film and TV. Here we are, obviously a big film for you. What did you do with Walter in terms of adapting it from book to screen?
It was a real privilege to work with Walter, of course, but, I think Walter would always say to me, when I was sort of figuring out, like, which bits of the book I wanted to keep, et cetera, he'd say, look, my book is on the shelf, and you're making the movie. And that's so freeing, because nobody thinks they're going to make the work of a literary titan as their first film, much less with actors like these and Willem Dafoe. But actually, I think I was just like, this is a story, and I have to find myself in it, because the only way you can make a film is if it's deeply, deeply personal. And so actually, I had to sometimes find myself putting the book down and like walking away on a little journey and coming back to it. Do you know what I mean? Just to kind of explore what the changes would make. I think the film is darker. I think it's more kind of baroque in tone. I think there are sort of elements of it that are just like pure me. And I'm really excited about those, because I think like a lot of people, maybe with their first film, they make something that's like slightly more obviously biographical. Whereas for me, I sort of like, I'm in it, but I'm like hiding. I'm like hiding in the kind of corners going, it me. But, and that feels really exciting. And also it's a testament to Walter's novel that, I read it 20 years ago and I can still see myself in it. Like, I'm still there hiding in the corners going, yeah, but what about, like, what if those masks mean this? Right. I'm still asking those questions.
Your character's dealing with trying to stay in the house, not trying to sell it as everybody else is trying to do. And here comes this guy, and he's destitute, and you offer him a place. But what did you want to do to your character outside of what the script called for?
Get out of the way. Actually, I think that's the, especially with a character like Charles. Like, it's an actor's dream, and also can be one of the biggest challenges you sort of step into after you say yes, yeah, three-dimensional full character like this, and wrestling with all these big ideas, but also. He's full of contradictions. Like, he's a man who is desperate for love and connection, but also deathly afraid of being seen and being open to that and what it can do to him, because he's lost so much. And so I wanted to just get out of the way of Charles and just let him speak through me, I guess, and be okay and be comfortable with stillness, be comfortable with a performance that isn't necessarily showy or whatever that means, because as actors we love to, perform, but also just the challenge of that and the challenge of stepping up to this language and these themes and attacking them head on, emotionally and physically as well. So it was a joy.
And then with your character, how much stock do you take when you play roles? Your character's all about the artifacts. Did you do any research in terms of someone who goes through that?
Yeah, it was one of the things that drew me most about her, because what she does is so niche, it's so specific, and she's so deeply passionate about it. And so I try to go online and find interviews of people that did this kind of work and what they said about what drew them to it. But ultimately, this is just something deeply personal to her, because she cares about the preservation of her people and how their stories are told. And I did try to lean into that as much as I could.
Had you watched 24 before you knew that these two were in the series?
I think I didn't find that out until after I'd cast you both. I was like,
funny.
What?
Did you not know?
No.
So when you think about chemistry, you're like, they've worked together.
No, do you know what? I think the whole chemistry thing is slightly overstated, actually. I think it's about conviction and throwing yourself. I don't think it's like that two actors do or don't inherently have chemistry. I think it's something you can get to with really hard work. Just so happens these two naturally have some fantastic chemistry, which I clearly capitalized on. But I would never be worried about that. I wouldn't be like, oh man, what if these two never have chemistry? I'm like, we'll get there. We'll find the stimuli, the things that make it exciting. That's my job as a director, to go okay, cool. So we're not, how do we pivot it to make it, and I think actually, to be fair, Narcissus is a slightly funny fish in so much as it's she is interested in him, and he is very compelling to her, but she also has her own needs and wants, and he is an opportunity. Exactly. It's there's a slightly mercenary quality in that of going, he could give me everything I need to fulfill my own ambitions. So we were always playing, you know, like in some scenes I'd be like, what if you liked him slightly less? You know, what if you actually are like, you know what, I'm going to back out of this to try and keep that
And the
chemistry
challenge
alive.
that presents to me, you know, like
Love
Yeah.
me.
Before I let you go, talk to me about working opposite Willem Dafoe and going tit for tat.
Oh man, it's just like working opposite, like you said, with chemistry. Like we have chemistry, but I think it's about when you get two actors who understand the assignment, you show up and you do it and you execute, and it doesn't have to be hard, it doesn't have to be challenging. You just, when you show up prepared, you know, you hit the ground running, and it's acting. Like, you know, you don't have to be best friends and, you know, go do this and do that. Like, it's all so. But Willem, I happen to, you know, we all happen to like each other, you know, and Willem is just another example of that with this cast. All of the actors in this cast, but you know, Willem is one of the greats, and but when he comes into the room, you just kind of look around because you're like, you know. He's a jobbing. We were talking about earlier, like a jobbing.
He's not more important than the boom op. You know, like everyone's dancing together.
Yeah, he's so gracious like that.
And that's beautiful when you have an actor who can just kind of embrace the collective. And boy, when he turns, but between action and cut, it's like, let's go. You know, so you got to be ready to step it up, and it's a joy.
Congrats on your performances. Congrats on the film. We need more female directors out there, so let's wait for the next project to keep talking. Obviously, let's get an audience to watch this on Hulu.
Yeah.
We'll talk down the road.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much. Thank you.